Could the Seattle Seahawks really be preparing one of the most shocking trades in recent National Football League history? Rumors are heating up around superstar pass rusher Myles Garrett and the possibility of a blockbuster deal that would instantly transform Seattle's defense. Some analysts believe adding Garrett would create an unstoppable pass rush and send a clear message that the Seahawks are all in on another championship run. Others question what it would cost to pull off such a historic move. But one thing is certain: if this trade actually happens, the entire league will feel the impact. Imagine waking up to a notification that completely shakes the NFL world. Fans are refreshing their phones, insiders are scrambling, and suddenly a headline starts trending everywhere. Could one of the league's most dominant defensive players really be on the move? Today, we're diving into the rumor that has the entire football community buzzing: the possibility of Myles Garrett landing with the Seattle Seahawks in what could become one of the most historic defensive trades in recent National Football League history. Let's start with why this rumor is exploding right now. For years, Myles Garrett has been the heart and soul of the Cleveland Browns' defense. We're talking about a generational pass rusher, a player who can completely change the outcome of a game with one snap. Quarterbacks fear him. Offensive coordinators design entire game plans just to slow him down. Yet, despite his incredible production and individual success, the bigger question around the league has always been whether Cleveland can consistently build a championship contender around him. This is where things start to get interesting. Around the NFL, front offices are always evaluating their future, especially when it comes to superstar contracts and roster construction. Myles Garrett is still playing at an elite level, but teams sometimes face tough decisions about long-term flexibility, draft capital, and building for sustained success. If the Browns ever even consider listening to offers, you can bet several teams would immediately line up with massive trade packages. And one team that keeps appearing in the conversation is the Seattle Seahawks. Now let's talk about why Seattle could be such a fascinating destination. The Seahawks have always been known for building powerful defenses. Longtime fans still remember the legendary Legion of Boom era when Seattle's defense dominated the entire league. While the team has gone through roster changes since then, the organization has clearly been working toward rebuilding a unit that can once again control games. Imagine inserting Myles Garrett into that vision. A player like Garrett instantly changes the identity of a defense. Edge pressure is one of the most valuable assets in modern football. When you can consistently collapse the pocket without sending extra blitzers, it allows the rest of your defense to play faster and smarter. Defensive backs can stay in coverage longer. Linebackers can focus on stopping the run or reading the quarterback. Everything becomes easier when a pass rusher is forcing chaos every single down. That's exactly what Garrett brings. If Seattle were somehow able to pull off a trade for him, the ripple effects would be enormous. First, opposing offenses would immediately have to account for him on every snap. Second, it would instantly raise the ceiling of Seattle's defensive unit. And third, it would send a clear message to the rest of the league that the Seahawks are not just rebuilding, they are trying to contend. But let's slow down for a second and look at the realistic side of this scenario. Trading a superstar like Myles Garrett would not be cheap, not even close. The Browns would likely demand a massive return that could include multiple first-round draft picks, young players, and possibly even additional mid-round selections. Teams simply do not give away elite pass rushers in their prime. So the real question becomes whether Seattle would be willing to pay that price. Historically, the Seahawks front office has shown a willingness to make bold moves when they believe it will push the team closer to a championship window. They've made big trades before, and they've never been afraid to reshape the roster if the opportunity feels right. There's also another layer to this rumor that makes it especially exciting for Seahawks fans. Seattle's defense has been searching for a true game-changing pass rusher who can take over critical moments. Having solid players is important, but having a superstar who offenses must double-team every play is something entirely different. Garrett is exactly that kind of player. Think about the impact during crucial third downs. Picture the opposing quarterback dropping back while Garrett explodes off the edge, forcing a hurried throw or a strip sack. Those are momentum-shifting plays that change entire games. Championship defenses are often built around players who can create those moments, and Garrett has built his entire career doing precisely that. Another reason this rumor has traction is because of Seattle's overall roster trajectory. The team has been investing in young talent on both sides of the ball. If the front office believes the roster is only one or two elite pieces away from serious contention, adding a defensive superstar could be the move that accelerates everything. Fans can already imagine the energy inside Lumen Field if this happened. The crowd noise in Seattle is legendary. Quarterbacks already struggle to communicate at the line because of the atmosphere. Now imagine adding one of the most feared pass rushers in football to that environment. The pressure would be relentless. Of course, Browns fans might be listening to this and thinking the same thing everyone in Cleveland would think. Why would we trade him at all? And honestly, that's a fair reaction. Myles Garrett is the type of player franchises build around, not trade away. He's a cornerstone talent, a locker room leader, and a perennial Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Moving someone like that is never an easy decision. But the NFL is also a league full of surprises. We've seen shocking trades before. Superstar quarterbacks, all-pro receivers, and dominant defenders have been moved in deals that initially seemed impossible. Sometimes it's contract dynamics, sometimes it's team direction, and sometimes it's simply a situation where both sides decide a fresh start makes sense. Right now, this Garrett to Seattle conversation remains firmly in the rumor and speculation category. Insiders are discussing possibilities, analysts are debating trade values, and fans are imagining what their teams could look like with such a superstar addition. The fact that Seattle is even being mentioned as a possible destination for someone like Garrett suggests the Seahawks are being taken seriously as a team that could make a bold, aggressive move. Organizations with clear direction and strong leadership often find themselves in these conversations. Another interesting factor is how a trade like this could reshape the entire NFC landscape. Adding Garrett to Seattle wouldn't just strengthen the Seahawks. It would also send a signal to rival teams that the balance of defensive power in the conference might be shifting. Imagine divisional matchups where quarterbacks must deal with Garrett twice a season. Offensive lines would have to prepare differently. Play callers would adjust protection schemes. The impact would stretch far beyond Seattle itself. And from a storytelling perspective, it would also be one of the most fascinating chapters in Garrett's career. Going from Cleveland to Seattle would mean a completely new defensive system, new teammates, and a new challenge on one of the loudest stages in football. Players of Garrett's caliber often thrive in those moments. They embrace the spotlight, the expectations, and the pressure that comes with being the centerpiece of a championship defense. So where does this rumor go from here? In the coming weeks, insiders will likely continue monitoring any hints from the Browns organization about their long-term plans. Meanwhile, teams like Seattle will always evaluate opportunities to upgrade the roster if a rare chance presents itself. Until something official happens, this remains one of those fascinating what-if scenarios that NFL fans love to debate. What if the Seahawks really did pull off the blockbuster deal of the decade? What if Myles Garrett became the new defensive face of Seattle? And what if that move launched the next great Seahawks defense? Right now, we don't have those answers. But one thing is certain. The moment a superstar like Garrett is connected to potential trade discussions, the entire football world pays attention. Because in the NFL, one move can change everything. And if Seattle ever managed to land Myles Garrett, it wouldn't just be a trade. It would be a statement heard across the entire league.